All right. It is great to see you again. Thanks so much for coming on back to Damon Brews Plus. I'm Damon. It is Wednesday, February 25th. Again, we are getting through February quickly, and that's good. We are almost out of the dead zone here, people. We've got much more coming up in the world of sports, much more. But right now, there is always something to worry about when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. And look, we got a worry right here, right now. Offensive line play is all about leverage and not letting the man across from you beat you with his leverage. Well, right now, Trent Williams has a ton of leverage, and there isn't a moment that he hasn't been willing to put the San Francisco 49ers over a barrel whenever he has the leverage to do so. And guess what? That is happening right now. Something that we didn't really think about, something that we haven't really spend any time worrying about, because Trent Williams is in the final year of his deal, and him coming back is a straight up, non-negotiable. That absolutely has to happen. So what are we talking about here? Well, we'll get into all that in just a second. Again, welcome. Hit like and subscribe. It's great to have you back here. Want to thank my man Ike of Ike Sandwiches right there. Absolutely delicious. And people always ask me, what do you order? I ordered the Jamie Sirewich. I ordered the Damon Bruce. I ordered the Adam Richmond. Sometimes you just got to go with the classics. Right now, Ike is saying, check out the hits, baby. Don't forget the Greatest Hits album. Matt Cain, which I think ESPN named like the sports sandwich of the year a couple of years ago. He's got the Menage a Trois. That is one of these sandwiches that started his entire empire. And what has he also got? A meatless Mike on there. That's a vegetarian meatball. Oh, okay, well, to each their own. Do what you got to do. Whatever makes you happy. Thank you so much to my man Ike. Go get something absolutely delicious. And hopefully, if you're not already near an Ike's, there's going to be one opening near you soon. Our friends at the Dubliner West Portal, we absolutely love you, Dubliner. Thank you so much for supporting the Damon Brews Show. And I'm just going to tell you, on a drizzly, rainy day, maybe duck out of work a little early, go start a little happy hour at the Dubliner. You take Muni right there, drop you off right in front, West Portal. It is a great bar. Don't take my word for it. Walk on in and find out for yourself. Hopefully you took the Pelicans. Oh, man. Right now on Sleeper, you got team picks. You can just straight up take team picks on Sleeper, not just put together parlays, not just have the best fantasy app that you've ever seen in your life, not just have incredible ways to interact with information that every single sports fan needs and every little sports community wants to share. Check it out over on Sleeper right now. It's more than just props. It's more than just player over-unders. It is now team picks. Check out Sleeper, and please remember to use promo code Damon when you do. It's right in the top of the description of this very video that you are watching right now. Easy to go out and find. Let me put that up. Let me make sure that's up. We've got everybody ready to go. Good. Here we go. Again, Trent Williams has this leverage over the San Francisco 49ers to where at his old age, he can play stick 'em up. Number one, you're only allowed to do that if you're an outstanding player. You got to be outstanding at any age to be able to do that. But here he is, and he's really able to do it, and he has all the leverage in the world to do it, because guess who doesn't even have to take a peek over in his rearview mirror? It's Trent Williams. There is no object closer than it appears in the mirror anywhere behind him. Yeah, the Niners did bring back Austin Pleasance on a very reasonable contract for a guy who I think is a good backup tackle. But he is not Trent Williams. There are very few guys in this league that are Trent Williams. There is certainly no one wearing a Niners jersey who is the next Trent Williams. And Trent Williams has all the leverage in the world because the 49ers have completely ignored the Trent Williams succession plan here. Year after year, draft after draft, they have taken what I believe all along should have been a priority and have turned a selection of an offensive lineman into some later in the draft complementary piece. I think it needs to be a priority. I have been talking about this for several drafts in a row now. And I feel like I'm taking crazy pills every single time I look up and they're taking another defensive lineman, or the year that they took Ricky Pearsall. Like, I couldn't believe it. Literally could not believe it, that this team is just kicking the who will be our next great offensive lineman can down the road over and over and over again. So ESPN Wrote it all out for you, so I didn't have to. Here it is. ESPN says Williams is entering the final year of his deal. Okay, we knew that. He carries a salary cap number of $38.84 million, which includes a base of $22.1221 million and another $10 million option bonus due in the coming weeks. That option bonus has increased the urgency to strike a deal that works for both sides. Now, what I'm sure the Niners wanted was just for Trent Williams to come back at the agreed upon price and then ride off into the sunset, retiring a 49er after this season. Well, there's no leverage in doing that. And Trent wants to go out there thinking that I've got more football in me than anyone expects, and I want some guarantees now. Adam Schefter said that Williams and the Niners are, quote, struggling to find a contract solution. That came out yesterday afternoon, right before John Lynch was about to meet the media in Indianapolis ahead of his combine conversation. Now, John Lynch, again, talking to reporters at the combine, was a lot more optimistic than what Adam Schefter was intimating. He says that he's had great conversations with Trent and his agent, and Trent loves the Niners, and Trent wants to be a Niner, and it's a great relationship. And I believe that John Lynch really believes that. Here's what I have to tell you, John. It's not really as good as you think it is. If you think Trent Williams really, really likes you and is about to give you or the 49ers a deal or a break on his price for his services in any way, shape, or form, if he really liked you, he'd be willing to do that. He's not going to do that at all. He's not going to do that at all. Trent puts the 49ers over a financial barrel every single chance that he gets, and there is no way that this story comes out an hour or two before Lynch hits the stage in Indianapolis without there being some acrimony. I mean, this is leaked to Schefter. We're not happy. Schefter puts it out there. And so instead of getting asked about, who you thinking of drafting here, John, the first thing John Lynch has to address is this breaking Adam Schefter says Trent Williams ain't happy and it ain't Shangri-La. So that's not great. I mean, it's just not great. And, at his age, at Trent's age, there shouldn't be this much power in him. There really shouldn't. But he is that good, and he is out of guaranteed money, and that's what he wants. And what he wants is for the 49ers to have to send. So he's 37 right now. He's going to turn 38 this summer. And what he wants is a contract that I think that takes him to age 39. You don't get a lot of offensive linemen in this league, circling 40 very often. Now, any talk at all about releasing him, any talk at all about someone saying it maybe just walk away and use that cap space elsewhere on the team, I want you to unfollow that person immediately, okay? You need to stop getting your football information from that person. That person has absolutely no idea what they're talking about. The 49ers will not be releasing Trent Williams. They can't. They can't. John Lynch says he's very optimistic something will get done. Well, yeah, because it has to. And that's really not optimism as much as it's pragmatism. Just have to do it. So whatever Trent wants, Trent gets at this point. It'd be silly for me to say, as my gas tank were approaching E, that I'm optimistic that I'm going to be getting more gas soon. It's really not a place for optimism as much as it's just me admitting I'm in a whole lot of trouble here unless I go and get gas. It's really not optimistic. How about this? It wouldn't matter if I were optimistic or pessimistic about the amount of gas remaining in a dwindling gas tank. My emotions do not really come into play here. What you need is gas in the gas tank for the car to go, for the machine to run. Any debate about money being saved, again, has already pretty much been dunked on by Dave Lombardi, who says it's not nearly the savings that you think it would be. Also, one of the other reasons to not release Trent Williams in terms of savings is because it sure would be a shame to watch Brock Purdy get killed on a football field in 2026, don't you think? I mean, I like Brock. Do you like Brock? I like Brock. I would hate to see him die in an NFL game. And that's Trent Williams' job, to make sure that doesn't happen. So again, it's mandatory gas for the tank more than it is a situation that anybody should be optimistic about. For the past two drafts, for the past two of them, I've said that this offensive line needs to be a priority, not a complementary, not another thing that you get to later on down the road. This is much more important than any other thing. As a matter of fact, there will never be a day in football where the offensive line isn't the most important piece of your offense beyond the quarterback and the coach designing the offense itself. Nothing happens without an offensive line in this league. Trench warfare is the only warfare that you even need to worry about. You can have complete bums playing wide receiver and still get a certain degree of production out of them if your offensive line is right. That is really what is kind of amazing about the 49ers last year, because they did not have a very good wide receiver core, and they had a very middle-of-the-road offensive line. There is no other thing. The offensive line is the thing. And it's time the 49ers start to focus on it, or they deserve every single offensive headache and problem that they're going to have built into their team. Here's the thing. If you don't improve your offensive line, every problem you had last year is going to be magnified because Christian McCaffrey's just got that less tread off of his tire. Anyway, Monroe Freeling, Caden Proctor, Caleb Lomu. I better be hearing one of those names at 27 for the 49ers. That is the draft pick. I don't want to hear about, well, they really like this defensive tackle or this edge rusher or this linebacker. Stop it. Trent Williams is not going to be playing until he's 42 years old. And let me tell you right now, there is no let me help you out coming from Trent Williams anytime soon other than going and keeping Brock Purdy alive. There's no deal. And I think that if we hooked up, this isn't just Trent Williams. This is any player in sports in the last moments of their career. I mean, what's Trent honestly got left? Like 30-ish games? 30-ish? If he were to play 2 more years beyond this upcoming season, 45, 50-ish games. That's not a lot of time left. And I really do believe that if you hooked up any player at that age of their career and you just said, look, you have one of two paths to walk down. At the end of this path is the Super Bowl ring that has eluded your career. At the other end of this path is the most amount of money you can make in this league until you can't make any more money in this league. I think that is what players Trent's age would go for. I want the biggest final scoops from the financial bucket. Of course he wants to win a ring. Of course he wants a championship. But he will not agree to play for less money so more money can be spent on better teammates around him to help accomplish that. And this is playing out in real time right in front of us. So there you go. Forget about the truth being in the great story. Oh, they all want a Super Bowl. The truth is in the action. And his action is basically saying, pay me. Pay me. I don't begrudge him that. I don't begrudge him that. Talking about the importance of offensive line, Cool Breeze is just dropping a thank you. I mean, this is not freaking rocket science, right? I mean, I know we try to make football a much more complicated sport than it needs to be at times. It's real simple. Everything about this sport is blocking and tackling. That's it. Blocking and tackling are the two most important things happening on a football field at all times. No play is run successfully without the proper blocking. No play ends without the proper tackling. These are non-negotiables. You better be great at both. And the 49ers weren't great at either last season. You know who was? The Seattle Seahawks. Boy, they blocked and tackled better than anyone else. What did they do? How did their season end? Sip of the day right here, boys and girls. Thank you, Cool Breeze. JJ Rader, the gas light is on, the check engine light is on, the tire air light is on, the dash is looking like a Christmas tree with all those lights on. Yeah, at that point, it would be silly to say, I'm optimistic that I got to check this engine out. No, you better check that engine out or your car will seize. Got a super here from Yosh. Thank you, Yosh. I had an Ike's vegan sandwich 3 days in a row now. Look at you. You should change it to Vegan Yosh. That should be your handle. Again, I would only begrudgingly or reluctantly eat something vegan. You'd have to sneak it past me without telling me. But when I have tried the Ike's vegan offerings, I will admit it's good. It's not spit it out. That tastes like sawdust. So if you got to get your vegan on, do it at Ike's. We got Smeagol saying, pay me the dough. Again, look, the ring is great. The ring is great. But Trent Williams, when he goes to that card show a few years from now, with or without a ring, he's going to sit down, he's going to sign his autograph, Trent Williams, and then after that, he's not going to doesn't need to put Super Bowl champion because he might not never be one. What he will be is a Hall of Famer. So he's going to be at that card show writing Trent Williams, HOF. So he doesn't need that Super Bowl ring to charge, most amount of money possible for that signature at that card show that day. HOF. These are powerful letters at card shows, and Trent will have them. So I would draft offensive line at 27, period. And then I would be coming back within my next two picks and looking offensive line again. I would. I absolutely would. Quit trying to moneyball your way through your offensive line. You have to. So, now that we got that out of the way, the 49ers now need to get a very big issue that no one would really thought of would be an issue. They got to get that issue put to bed. It's going to cost them an awful lot of money to get that issue put to bed. And then they got to draft offensive linemen in this upcoming draft, or they need to go out and they need to sign a serious top shelf offensive lineman in this upcoming free agency period. And then in the draft, they need to go ahead and find their next weapon. That's what yesterday's show was about. How it can't just be Christian McCaffrey and good luck everybody else, because it won't be George Kittle. Hey, diddle, diddle, guess who ain't in the middle for a long time? That's going to be George. He tore his Achilles way too late in last year to be counted on at all this upcoming year. Medical science, God bless you. That's a big ask. That's a really big ask. And again, the money that they now need to spend on Trent, is that going to affect their ability to go out and sign the wide receiver or the running back that they need? By the way, they better not have to sign a running back. That better be Jordan James. I mean, you drafted him, then you didn't play him. You better play him. I tell you, this team drives me nuts sometimes. They really do. They really do. They make things so much harder on themselves than seems necessary, don't they? Yeah, here's the thing. You renegotiate with him, that number can go down, but how much ball will Trent allow the Niners to play with him? And again, the cap goes up. I mean, that's the thing. Remember, the cap is very real and very imaginary all at the same time. I'm not worried about it. But I just don't like all this offseason Trent Williams discontent. It seems to happen every year. When that's a player you just don't mess around with. But look, hey, it's business. It's big sports business. And we got a chance to do big sports business. You do it. What do we got here? Again, from Vegan Yosh. He says, trade for Milata or Lane Johnson. I mean, Lane Johnson is hurt an awful lot now, isn't he? Jordan Mailata is a player that, yeah, I mean, you don't see a lot of teams trading players of that ilk. It just doesn't happen. You know, if you're going to make a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles, I think it's A.J. Brown. All right. So since we're talking business, let me dive into a little business you probably did not expect me to talk about here today on the show. I know that there's been an awful lot of discussion of women's sports, and that is thanks to the fact, Donald Trump took a shot at the team, women's team USA, as he was inviting the men to the State of the Union. You know, he's like, I guess we're going to have to invite those ladies too, or man, we'll hear it from them. And that was absolutely a disparaging moment. I mean, and what's supposed to be a moment just cloaked in glory, Olympic gold glory. Of course, Trump finds a way to ruin it. So there's a lot of talk about, women's sports, the importance of women's sports, watching the entire United States men's hockey team sort of laugh at that, I know has left an awful lot of people upset. Does that show how the United States hockey team really feels about their female counterparts? I'm sure in a way it does a little, but is also just, presidents on the speakerphone. You're going to giggle at his joke, whether it lands or not. It's just, it's a salute the rank, not the man situation. Ha 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 ha, Mr. President. But I also think that there is, the one thing that the Team USA men's hockey team doesn't want to hear is how much more dominant the United States women have been over the last few Olympics than they have, even though they have won gold. I don't think it's offensive to even say that, men's hockey has been highly competitive across the globe for over 100 years. Women's hockey is something you never even talked about until about 30 years ago, and no one took it seriously until about 10 years ago. And as women, certainly in the United States, started taking women's hockey more seriously about a decade or so ago, there are like 3 or 4 other countries in the world that are meeting them in that real, this is what we care about measure. So basically, the women are out there playing against some teams that just learned how to skate, I'm guessing 5 years ago. So it's not the same. It's not the same. The women take this sport very seriously, are funded through the teeth, while the rest of the world is playing a massive game of catch up with only like 3 or 4 other countries really taking women's hockey seriously at all. It is a much easier pool to skate through on the way to Olympic gold than what the men have to go through, if we're being totally honest. So that's probably where some of the sneering comes from. Now, I tell you all that to set you up for what I'm really here to talk about. The WNBA. The WNBA. Okay, well, hold on here. This is RIP Cougar Rebel. Did you not just hear me explain it to you? The U.S. men's hockey team barely won. the U.S. women are dominant. Well, it's a lot harder to fight an even fight than it is to pick on the weakling. And that's what it is. The U.S. women are so set up for success over a level of the rest of the globe doesn't even take this seriously. It explains the United States women's soccer team as well. There's not a lot of teams that take women's sports as seriously as the United States does. It's just a fact. That's not supposed to be offensive. Facts should not be offensive. You know, the women really, are taken seriously in the United States and in Canada, and there really aren't too many other countries that are taking it as seriously as those two countries. By the way, look at this. Vegan Yosh. He's made the change. Thank you for my new name, DB. You're welcome. Vegan Yosh. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Michelle saying the U.S. women have medaled in each of the years women's hockey has been in the Olympics. And guess what? Let me guarantee you this. They will never not medal. They will come away on that platform in perpetuity. They will never not medal. There you go. So you can't say that about the men, which means the other thing must be easier. Okay. So I tell you all that. I didn't even want to talk about that. That was just the preamble. That was just the opening. What I really, really want to talk about is that the WNBA officially thinks it's being treated unfairly. And there is a very contentious contract negotiation of new players' rights CBA going on right now that the WNBA is negotiating. And all I can tell those women is if you really think that you are being treated unfairly, go on strike. Absolutely. Do it. Try it. But be careful. You might not like what you find out at the end of that. Now, the women have a very good argument saying that if we shouldn't be paid more, see, that's the women want to be paid in commiserate with the way that the men get paid in the NBA. And I understand, like, it should all be fair. There's an argument to be made for that. The other argument to be made against that would be if half of you right before the game tipped off were replaced by the other group of women who wanted to play basketball tonight, well, how much would we really be able to tell or notice? You know, you're not identifiable brands the way that men are in basketball. And the entire league, even though it has absolutely seen zenith numbers for seats sold, tickets sold, franchises expanding, television ratings, it's all gone up, 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 up. So, of course, the women say more, please. And they have the right to. And they're looking at other owners coming in, making $100 million investments. You know, I think we actually have a WNBA team valued at $1 billion for the very first time. So if people are coming in and making major investments in all of this, there should be more money to go around. I totally get it. I think the other thing that just has to be acknowledged, though, is that this really isn't the league exploding as much as it was interest in one player, Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark changed the game. She was a force multiplier of interest by fans, from investors, from sponsors, and the league is about to expand, right? Don't tell me there isn't more money to go around if you're inviting more teams into the table. And by the way, that is a mistake. The league should not be expanding if it still can't figure out what this is actually value here. But again, people are willing to come in with huge money to buy these franchises, which embolden the women to say, hey, more for us, please. Toronto and Portland. Sorry, I got a little space heater going on right here. That thing is cranking. Toronto and Portland are about to get WNBA teams. So the math that everyone is trying to do here is what is real interest in this league and in this sport? What is the Caitlin Clark phenomenon? What if Caitlin Clark were subtracted from all of this? What would we really have then? What are these franchises really worth? What is the current broadcast deal really worth? What can you project the next broadcast deal to be really worth? How much do we really need to pay a group of players that are mostly unrecognizable unknowns? Like if I walked up to just about anybody who checked the box of, yes, I'm a sports fan, I'm a basketball fan, and said, write me a list of 50 basketball players. Write me a list of 50 basketball players, not just current basketball players, but all time. All time. In the history of basketball, please write me down a list of 50 basketball players. I would say 99 out of 100 real sports fans would be able to do that. If I said, now make me a list of 10 women's basketball players, and you can go to the dawn of women's basketball, I don't think 50% of people could do that. You know, Caitlin Clark would be the very first name. Then you'd get Asia Wilson, the Las Vegas Aces. You'd get Cheryl Miller, who still sticks around this conversation. You'd get Lisa Leslie, Candace Parker, right? Is that her name? Candace, was it Candace Wiggins or Candace Parker? I don't know. And anyways, I would struggle doing it. And with the vast majority of women and people who buy tickets to WNBA games, I guarantee you couldn't name more than 2 or 3 girls on the roster. So how much do we really need this workforce for this machine is what WNBA brass is asking itself. You know, if most of our players are nameless and shapeless when it comes to selling tickets, and there's only 1 or 2 names here that really, really matters, how much do we really have to divvy up the pie equally? Again, these are rough questions, but they're honest business questions. So all I would say is the more people, you know, are actually interested for the first time forever in the WNBA, and I will admit that there is more interest in women's professional basketball at this point in the calendar, in our lifetimes, than ever before. If there were a strike and they were to vanish for a little while, how much of that would carry over? What level of damage would be done to the overall product? I think it's fascinating. I think reality would smack the players in the WNBA in the face if they really think about going on strike. Now, I saw that the WNBA told the WNBA Players Association that its teams needed a collective bargaining agreement. They need that done by March 10th for the 2026 schedule to not be impacted. Well, okay, you know, a deadline spur in action. So the line in the sand has been drawn. Need a new CBA by March 10th. Even once that deal is agreed upon, it could still take weeks to formally ratify. The WNBA still needs to conduct a 2-team expansion draft for the Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire, and then hold free agency for 80% of the league. Giddy up, ladies. You're running out of time. And if you're really thinking about striking, again, just be careful. Be very, very careful. That would be my professional advice to the WNBA. Michelle Haberman. Again, she loves the WNBA. She's into the Valkyries. She goes, how much damage would be done to the league? Severe damage. There's definitely a groundswell that's taken years to build up to get to where they are now. Yeah, imagine resetting that. It'd be bad news. And I'm sure this is what the very first person who is arguing on behalf of the league against the women's against the women would say. What if Caitlin Clark just walked away? What if Caitlin Clark decided that she was going to take herself to the nunnery She was going to devote her life to God and be a nun, and she wasn't going to play basketball anymore. She was disappearing. She was going to take a vow of silence. I think it would be staggeringly devastating to the entire league. So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? Again, so we're just talking business, man. We're just talking business here. We talked Trent Williams. We talked WNBA, which nobody thought of me talking about, but here we are. And my man Carl is in here saying, so I guess the big takeaway from today's show is leverage matters a lot. Mwah. Yes, Carl. Correct. Leverage matters. When you have it, you're going to use it. When you don't have it, be careful how much weight you're really trying to throw around the negotiation. Leverage matters. Let's talk a little Warriors, shall we? Because the Warriors lost in New Orleans last night, the Pelicans went from a 16-win basketball team to a 17-win basketball team. Now, how did that happen? Well, no Curry, no Horford, no Porzingis. You can add that to 20 turnovers. And I guess it really doesn't matter that Brandon Pajemski played well and rebounded very well once again, or that Guy Santos looks like a real power forward all of a sudden, or the fact that, Moses Moody continues to play well in his understudy role for Steph Curry. Like, you turn the ball over 20 times without your big dogs on the court, Draymond looking just lost offensively in this game. It was bad. And even worse for the Warriors is they're going to be right back at it tonight in Memphis, 4:30 West Coast time, tip time. So it's a quick turnaround from Vegas to Memphis. And if they lose this evening, they'll be just one game over 500. Just one game over 500. Meanwhile, not to rub any salt in old wounds here, did you see what Jonathan Kuminga did in his Hawks debut last night? Jonathan Kuminga came off the bench as he made his debut in Atlanta and basically did a Dominique Wilkins impression early on with a huge jam and got the whole place into it with his incredible athleticism. He scored a season-high 27 points, and he led Atlanta in scoring in an easy-breezy win over the Washington Wizards. Kuminga knocked down 3 3-pointers, had 7 rebounds and 4 assists, along with 2 steals in 24 and a half minutes. Thank God that guy got run out of town, right? At a snail's pace, too. It's not like they just ran him out of town. It took them 3 years to run Jonathan Kuminga out of town. Thank God the Warriors couldn't use any of that. They couldn't have used any of that in New Orleans. Couldn't have used it. Just simply don't need it. Especially from a 23-year-old. I mean, why would the Warriors actually want to go play basketball with incredibly athletic young guys? Why? Why would you do that? It's over, kids. I mean, the Warriors' run is over. Vegan Yosh says, somebody should be fired for mismanaging Kuminga. I think it's Steve Kerr. I think Steve Kerr is at his end here. I would also look at Mike Dunleavy and say, dude, you might have been a better player than you are a GM, and that's not saying much. Joe Lacob is officially now wearing the crown of meddlesome owner, and it's not good. It is not good. Fair enough here, Chico, saying let's not get carried away with Kuminga. The Wizards have the worst defense in decades and have a plus minus. Yeah, the Wizards suck. Jonathan Kuminga doesn't suck. For whatever reason, he just didn't fit what the Warriors are trying to do, and it's just the whole thing was weird. I'm not saying that Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a 27. What was he? Is it 27, 7, and 4? But let's see what he is. Let's see what he is. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if Kuminga in Atlanta really does flourish and is a 20-point a night, now he's rebounding. Now he's getting steals. Now he's creating assists. Now he's a centerpiece in an offense that needed some bounce. If he turns into all that, the Warriors are going to look ridiculous, especially as Kristaps Porzingis is carried off the court on a stretcher because he's hurt himself again. They're going to look ridiculous if he does anything that even suggests he's a really good player. Our friend Red Jet, always great to see you, Red Jet, a member now for 25 months, over 2 years of membership from Red Jet. Mwah. Thank you, Red Jet. Break out the Lowrys, because I heard JK was sprinkling it everywhere. Let's sprinkle it, baby. Tobin PE, Warriors equal tedious, boring, getting too pathetic and sad. Well, yeah, not good. Not good. They're slow. They're unathletic. And when Steph Curry and Porzingis are back, I don't know how much that changes anything. By the way, the NBA needs to change a rule that it just voted on. And so load management, to me, load management is a worse problem for the NBA than tanking. Load management, asset protection is what it truly is. Again, if there were a way to truly prevent injury and fatigue, they would have done it by now. This is all just guesswork. You know, guys from a bygone era playing much more physical basketball were load managed 0 times in their career, played 82 games a season, and no one ever even thought like, geez, we should probably ask these multimillionaire basketball players to play less in the name of they'll be better with a little bit more rest. Again, the league can literally load manage its players by expanding the schedule. There's no reason not to. If you're telling me the one thing you need is more time, well, I can just look at the calendar and I can find you more time by starting your season earlier and finishing it later. Would anyone give a shit if the NBA Finals wrapped up in July instead of June? No one would. No one would care. No one would even notice, to be honest with you. You know, we used to talk about how baseball, the World Series, the Fall Classic, the October, now the World Series, the World Series will end in December in our lifetimes, I bet. No one gives a shit anymore. Tradition for tradition's sake is a dumb reason to do anything. Expand your schedule. Have less back-to-backs. Have less travel in every month. More nights home in your own bed. That's how you should load manage players. Not saying, well, we tried to cram so many fucking games into this week that guys can't play. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So in the name of trying to cut back on load management, the NBA last year instituted a rule that said a player had to play at least 65 games to be eligible to win a regular season award or to make any of the 3 All-NBA teams. Now, the real problem with that is the NBA has gone out of its way to attach All-NBA team selection directly to a player's salary. You make all NBA status, congratulations, you're now eligible for a Supermax. If you don't, you ain't. So leaving journalist votes as a mechanism of how you get paid, I never liked that to begin with. But now you can be just ineligible. like, let's say Steph Curry, this season, God bless him, had the single highest scoring average of his career. What, by the way, what is it? Now I'm curious. I'm going to use the internet real quick here. Pardon me. What is Steph Curry's single highest scoring average? Not his career scoring average in any season. Here we go. That's right. Third in 2020-21, Steph Curry was 32 a night. 32 points a night for Steph. Imagine Steph Curry, we're averaging 40 points per game right now. 40 points per game from Steph Curry. And it's a shame that he's been injured as often as he has been this year and out of the picture as long as he has been, because even at 40 points a night, even at 50 points a night, even at 60 points a night, Steph would be ineligible for the first, second, or third all NBA teams. He would also be ineligible for MVP. Because of the 65 game limit. Already ineligible this season for any all NBA consideration or postseason award consideration are, and I'm not saying every one of these guys would have been on that list, but guess who can't be? LeBron James, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Giannis, Jalen Williams, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Sabonis, Anthony Davis, Trae Young, Franz Wagner, Jason Tatum, Kyrie Irving, Tyrese Halliburton. Well, obviously he hasn't played at all because he tore his Achilles. John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Damian Lillard. None of those guys. Damian hasn't played either, except for winning the 3-point shootout at the All-Star game. None of those guys would be eligible. Steph Curry averaging 100 points a night by himself would be ineligible for first, second, third, all NBA status or the MVP. How ridiculous is that? Gets even more interesting when you look at Jokic. He can only miss one more game this season. And if he's not up for any award or any all NBA anything. Victor Wembanyama, Wemby, can only miss one more game. Kawhi, who's been on a little bit of a tear. They must be paying him under the table really well this season. Kawhi is 4 more games away from not being on any all NBA consideration at all. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is currently injured, and the defending MVP from the defending world champ, it might not hit the 65-game threshold either. So he's going to go historically from defending champion MVP to ineligible for first, second, or third team consideration with just a few more games missed due to injury. Again, I want players playing as often as possible. There should be some threshold, but not 65. I mean, look at it this way. The NBA is going to change this season. Jimmy Shapiro, who sends me a newsletter like a couple times a week about gambling, says, will the NBA change eligibility rules for awards and all NBA teams for the 26-27 season? Again, they just agreed to this a year ago, and everyone's looking at it now going like, what did we do? This is awful. And you're costing dudes millions. Because of Supermax obligations that only get triggered if you're on this all NBA teams. Right now, yes is minus 300. No is plus 200. That means the current odds in Vegas imply that there is a 75% chance likelihood that the NBA is going to redo this deal. Again, a lot of business today on the show here, right? I like this show. It was sports and business. Look out, everybody. Sports and business on the Plus. Like and subscribe if you would. So, did we learn something today? Did we learn about leverage today? Did we learn a little bit about business? Did we learn about knowing how to stockpile offensive linemen so you're not completely dependent on Trent Williams to the point that without him you drown? Yeah, I think we've learned a lot today. Hopefully the 49ers are watching this. I don't know what John Lynch is doing. It's a couple hours earlier in Indianapolis. He's probably just walking out of a really nice lunch. Hopefully John Lynch is watching this show. Are you ready for today in history? Here we go. We begin with happy birthday. Oh, wait a minute. I think we might have gotten another super here. Let me look. This is from Vegan Yosh again. The Giants are undefeated in spring training, baby. Isn't that exciting? Oh, man, that's so exciting. Thank God the Giants are undefeated in spring training. That should really intimidate the Dodgers. I mean, if Ohtani's sleeping well at night, he shouldn't. Giants are undefeated in spring training. Woo. Hey, look, of course, that's better than not winning at all, but it also does not matter. I don't care about spring training production. I don't care about spring training batting averages. I don't care about spring training home run or RBI totals. I don't care about spring training ERAs, because the minute you hit opening day, all of that is behind you and major leaguers start playing baseball for real. Damon, what's better option for the NBA? Get rid of the draft, get rid of the lottery, or let playoff teams also qualify for the lottery? I just get rid of the lottery. You know, if you really want to tank, you got to wear it. And I think that there should be a price. I think the NBA should do away with the lottery and then tell teams that are full on tanking, which you'll never be able to get rid of. You'll never be able to get rid of this in basketball. Never. So you incentivize teams to have their tanking, which ruins the year for their fans, by giving fans, free concessions, almost free concessions, massively reduced ticket prices, massively reduced merchandise prices. Like, there needs to be some consideration to the fan other than raking the fan over the coals in a year where you ain't even trying to win. Look, here's the dirty little secret, right? Some fans like tanking. They do. Some fans are so more preoccupied about what the future of this team is more than the present of this team that tanking is something that fans actually kind of get into. Absolutely, they do. So the NBA should stop pretending it is that serious of a problem and mind its henhouse in other ways. All right, officially today in history. And by the way, Kevin, thank you very much. Kevin has been a member now for 26 months. That is over 2 years again. Thank you so much, Kevin. Woo! Happy birthday to Ric Flair, the dirtiest player in the game. 77 years old today. You don't see a lot of wrestlers make it to 77. T. Leone today. Gorgeous, right? She's 60 years old. By the way, there's some beautiful women born today. Rashida Jones, who just is so good in Parks and Recreation. I loved her. Rashida Jones and Perkins, 50 years old today for Rashida. She's my age. God, she looks so much better than I do. Sean Astin, 55 years old today. He's what? That's Samwise, right? Samwise? Yeah. Look at Barry just throwing it into the jar here. For the jar, Jillian and the boys enjoying the show. Peace, brother. Barry, we're so happy that you're doing well. So happy that you are recovered from a major surgery there, man. Love you, Barry. Love you, Mary. Love you. By the way, the Warriors are in your backyard tonight. Barry, you got the Warriors, Memphis Grizzlies. I'd say go to that game, but without Steph Curry playing, I'm not going to say you need to go to that game. Let's see. Chelsea Handler is 51 years old today. United States gold medal hockey Olympian Kash Patel is 46 years old today. And Jamila Jamil. I told you there's some beautiful women born today. Jamila Jamil is the gorgeous woman from The Good Place. She is so beautiful. There is a profile of Indian women that is just gorgeous. There's a slice of the Indian women attractive pie that just is just a gorgeous Indian woman. Is just gorgeous. She is among them. This is my what's her name? Used to be on Top Chef. Oh, Top Chef. She was even married to Salman Rushdie for a while. God, what was her name? She shouldn't have left Top Chef. I haven't thought of her since. I can't even remember her name. I'm sure someone will have it here in the chat real soon here. Who am I thinking of? Anyways, Jamila Jamil is cut from the same cloth as the woman on Top Chef that is. She's not even on Top Chef anymore, but that's what I'm talking about. Bo Nix, 26 years old today. Get your ankle right, Bo Nix. And next time, tell Sean Payton, kick the fucking field goal in the playoff game with a blizzard coming. This is driving me nuts. I got to look it up real quick. Top Chef. What was her name? Padma Lakshmi. Padma. There you go. I just beat you to it there, Michelle. Thank you very much. Michelle producing today's show. Padma. I mean, come on, dude. Gorgeous woman. Salman Rushdie changed his name to Sal Bass. Did he? Look, that guy had a fatwa literally carried out against him. I don't know how well he's doing after that. Thank you very much, though, Vegan Yosh. Yeah, and Barry, we got it. It is Padma. We got her. Today in 1836, Samuel Colt was granted a United States patent for his Colt revolver. So happy birthday to revolvers as we sort of know them. Today in 1901, J.P. Morgan incorporated United States Steel Corporation. U.S. Steel might not be what it once was, but J.P. Morgan is obviously a huge financial mover because of that. 1919, today, Oregon became the very first state to levy a gasoline tax by placing a 1-cent tax on every gallon of gas. Okay, thank you. Oh, how about this? Today in 1932, Adolf Hitler obtained his German citizenship by naturalization, which allowed him to run in the 1932 German elections. In other words, and he probably wouldn't like this, Adolf Hitler was an immigrant. He's from Austria. So he wasn't a German citizen, which is why he didn't come into power earlier. So, but isn't that something? Who is more anti-immigrant than Adolf Hitler? And he was an immigrant. History. Gotta love it. Okay. What else we got? Thank you very much. San Bruno Mike, he gets it. He's like, oh, the irony on that, right? Right? Isn't that something? Otis, crazy stuff, right? And Red Jet just get whelp. Thank you. Thank you. Man, I'll tell you what, YouTube this later on today. Couple of skits from the Show of Shows. In 1950, Your show of shows, hosted by Sid Caesar and Imogene Coca, premiered on NBC, and this is basically the first comedy variety show that ever sort of was out there. Today in 1964, a young man named Cassius, at the age of 22, beat champion Sonny Liston with a technical knockout to win the world heavyweight boxing crown. Cassius Clay. He would have a name change. Look it up. Today in 1967, Gene Kelly starred in Jack and the Beanstalk on NBC. It was produced by Hanna-Barbera, and it was the very first TV special to combine live action and animation. There you go. There you go. You ready to feel old again? Again, we don't put a lot of music into Today in History because it would be a rabbit hole that we would just go too far down every single time we did it. The number one song in America today in 1984 was Jump by Van Halen. Yes, kids, Jump by Van Halen is 42 years old now. Might as well jump. At the age of 42, you're probably going to break a hip. Today in 2004, The Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson's film about the last hours of Jesus' life as he was the Stations of the Cross, being crucified. That earned over $370 million, one of the biggest global box office hits of all time, one of the most profitable movies of all time, and let me just say, the debate, and I went to the theaters to see it, to see what the big deal was, and it was one of the rare movies that I've ever watched, like in a movie theater, like this, like, oh man, oh Jesus, oh man. That movie was so violent that it should have gotten an X rating. That's how violent that movie is. That is how graphically ripping skin off of bodies violent that movie is. And the fact it didn't get an X rating means that when it comes to X, we're only really talking about sex here. The whole violence thing, and if that didn't qualify for it, nothing will. Oh, Moron. Yeah, brutal movie. Brutal. Oh, thank you, Michelle. I'd take your history class. You do take my history class every time you watch the show. Thank you very much. You do. Today in 2006, the world's population crossed 6.5 billion people for a first time. Now, I was like, okay, how did that make today in history? 6.5 billion people today in 2006. So now we are 20 years later, and I looked this up, the number that Google spat back out at me in 2026. As of approximately today, there are 8.3 billion people on the planet. 8.3 billion is the Earth's population, give or take a few hundred. I mean, there's whatever. I mean, we've been on for about an hour here today. There have been thousands of people who've died during this show around the globe, and there have been thousands of children born during this show across the globe. So you're never going to get the real count, obviously, but there you go. And maybe the single most important thing I can tell you about today, again, how do we determine today is National Brownie Day, National Chocolate Chip, National, National whatever day, National Lollipop Day. Today is National Clam Chowder Day. New England clam chowder. Sorry, Manhattan. Now you can put the both of them together and get Connecticut. That is a thing. You can New England clam chowder, Manhattan clam chowder, put them both in a bowl, it becomes pink, and they call that Connecticut clam chowder. But I'm a huge New England chowder fan, to the point where outside of French onion soup, it is my favorite soup. To me, there is no greater soup than French onion soup. But after that, clam chowder is like right there. It's right on its heels. Freaking love. So I'm sorry, like I'm not into chicken noodle soup. It's not hearty enough. I'm sorry. Matzo ball soup, a little overrated. You got a great matzo ball. That's fun. But then the matzo is doing the star of that. It's really not the soup. I love New England clam chowder. So happy Chowder Day to all of you. And of course, hopefully the Simpsons episode of Say Chowder. 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 God, that's an episode that's got to be like 20 to 30 years old now, too. We're getting old, kids. I'm glad you like the history classes, because soon we'll all be history around here. Barry is saying that his bottle pull today is beet juice. Go ahead and get your beet juice. I've got a meeting, so there will be no bottle pull today. And by the way, we are not doing an 11 a.m. show on Thursday. I got another meeting then. So we will be back on Friday with maybe a pop-up here or there or somewhere, some shorts or something. So there is a reason for you to like and subscribe. There is always a reason for you to go out and support my sponsors, our good friends at Sleeper, of course. Thanks so much to Ike of Ike Sandwiches, an ever-expanding sandwich empire, and hopefully there'll be one near you soon if there isn't one already. And we also have our friends at the Dubliner West Portal. It's a drizzly, rainy, kind of crummy day. There are 2 days I like to go to a bar. Gorgeous days where you just want to get outside and like, let's get outside, but not outside so far that we don't pop into the bar for a minute. I love a good, gorgeous bar day. And on the other side of that coin is it's a little rainy, it's a little gray, it's a little foggy, it's a little miserable. Dubliner West Portal for all of your bar needs. Thank you very much for stopping on by today. Speaking of business, tip your bartender as well. And please do remember that sports don't build character, they reveal it. And like that, he's gone.